There seems to be a trend with Star Wars ever since Disney took hold of it, where the introduction to something is okay, and then they kind of ramp up the stakes and it kind of gets good, and you're kind of hoping that it will continue to be good and that it will end good. And then just when you least expect it, they fumble the ball and it explodes and kills everyone, including the hot dog salesman. Because apparently there's a hot dog salesman somewhere. That's canon now. And in my opinion, Obi-Wan Kenobi is definitely following the trend of the movies in that it pretty much does exactly what I just described. First couple episodes are okay, middle ones get good, ending is horrendous. So, yeah. I didn't like it, if you couldn't tell by the meme of a thumbnail that I made. Or maybe it doesn't look like this. I might change it up. It might get no views like this, and I might change it to something like this. I don't know what that is. I haven't made it yet. I sure hope it's funny, though. Yeah, in case it wasn't clearly obvious already, there's gonna be spoilers in this video, so don't watch this unless you're either okay with being spoiled, or you just aren't gonna end up watching the show, in which case you just wanna hear what I have to say. My cat is rubbing on the microphone because she has to be the center of attention at all times. Isn't that right, Jinx? There she is. Oh, she feels safe on my shoulder. I try to get her to show you, and she defaults to my shoulder. Always. Isn't she cute, ladies and gentlemen? And non-binary folk. Oh, I'm sorry, I kind of blew in your ear, didn't I? Alright, I'm gonna put you down. You probably hate this. Yeah, you do. Okay. So, yeah, like I just said, I thought the first 2 episodes were okay, and you can catch a more in-depth discussion about those episodes in this video here, where I talk about it with my girlfriend. Links will be in the description if you want to go check it out. Then episode 3 dropped, and it was intense, at least for me. You know, it was the first episode where Darth Vader actually got in there, started doing things, and the tension was palpable. It was Palpatine, if you will. Just like waiting for the moment where like you're wondering whether or not Obi-Wan is gonna actually like interact with Anakin. The fact that like he's seeing him, like Ewan McGregor's acting is like just throughout the whole series, it's really, really good. Like he's definitely the best part about this series, and I'm glad we got to see him as Obi-Wan again still. I think he did a fantastic job, but particularly in episode 3, just like all of the different emotions on his face when he's like looking at Vader and realizing, oh shit, this is Anakin? What? And like it's a mix of like fear, love, regret, just like every emotion balled into one. And I think Ewan does a fantastic job at displaying all of those emotions and really getting you like invested in seeing them like interact for the first time since they saw each other on the volcano. Was it Mustafar? I think it was Mustafar, the lava planet, you know, where this happens. And when they do actually meet, they actually like fight, sort of, and Obi-Wan is caught off guard. He's out of practice, he's old, whereas Darth Vader is like in the fucking prime of his life right now. He could snap him like a goddamn twig if he really felt like it, but he's more so pissed off at him, and he wants Obi-Wan to know how pissed off he is, to the point where he literally douses the ground in fire and shoves his face into it using the Force to make him feel exactly what he felt when he was burning alive on Mustafar. Holy shit. That scene is like easily the best in the entire series. It is so well done. It's a shame that it ends kind of odd, and he's about to go like take Obi-Wan in for either questioning or just to torture him some more until he finally kills him. But then the fire's relit and everybody was like, whoa, because he's got a bunch of stormtroopers with him. And this lady friend who's from Game of Thrones jumps in and laser blasts and saves him. And a robot manages to go in, take Obi-Wan, and leave. And Darth Vader just kind of watches it all happen for some reason. It's like, my guy, you can do something about it. You're Darth Vader, motherfucker! But he lets him leave, for plot reasons, probably. So, yeah, it sucks that it kind of had to end pretty contrived, but I was willing to overlook it for how good the character moments were that preceded that moment. It got me really excited to keep watching the series. Like, I was invested at this point. This got me invested, and I was really excited to see what would happen, because I had no fucking clue. No idea what was going to happen next. And episode 4 was kind of back to how I felt more so with like 1 and 2. It was okay. It had some good moments, but it was still kind of like, just okay. But, I mean, hey, if it was just okay all through the end, it would have one amazing episode, be an okay show otherwise, and I would be happy with that. I would have been fine with that. But episode 5. Oh, dear sweet episode 5. What? Did anybody edit you? Did anybody actually, you know what? Because I'll clarify here. We're going to start going, we'll go through it. I have notes. Okay, let me look at my notes here. It seems to me that somebody in editing for episodes 5 and 6 of the series, like, only made it through maybe like 80% of the script for episode 5, and then that through the end of episode 6 was just left unedited. Like, the guy was like going through the scripts and he thought he had like maybe a month or 2 left before he had to hand them in. He's like, all right, cool, I'm almost finished with episode 5. I've just, gotta edit this chunk and that'll be good. And then I got episode 6. We'll be good. We'll be great. I got plenty of time for this. And then somebody knocked on his door and was like, hey, you got, how's those editing thing? How those scripts coming? I think I can do this. It's almost done. Just give me need some more time to finish up last couple episodes. And we need those tomorrow, actually. We moved the deadline up a little bit. I'm sorry if we didn't tell you, but we do need them tomorrow or you're fired. All right. I mean, that's literally what it feels like, and we're just going to start going through it step by step. We're going to skip, like I said, a majority of episode 5 because the beginning of it is, again, mostly fine. It just goes off the rails at one specific point in the end, and it never gets back on. So at this point, Obi-Wan is trying to escape with Leia so he can make it on the final stretch of his mission to bring her back to her father. And at this point, they were tracked and found by the third sister, who is working for Darth Vader, and they found the base. They've busted open the doors, a whole battle ensues, a bunch of people die, somebody explodes. It's a whole thing. Obi-Wan tries to bargain with the third sister, which we'll get into later. But the long and short of it is nothing ends up working. They're about to leave in the spaceship as Darth Vader gets there, approaches, and opens the hangar doors with the Force as the ship is taking off, and he just fucking boom! He fucking grabs that ship out of the air, forces it down to the ground, and then tears it to fucking shreds. I mean, I thought it was pretty badass, but it would happen so quick. I was trying to process all the implications of it that I didn't realize immediately that ship was empty. And then they show a shot through one of like the weird windows in the ship where you see a second ship behind the one that Darth Vader just ripped apart that takes off. And he just lets that one go again for some reason. Now that felt weird to me because I couldn't see a second ship behind that one when the scene first played. I did end up going back and watch it, and if you look really close, you can actually see a second ship in the background, but it's very dark, and if you're not paying attention, which you probably won't be the first time, you're not gonna notice that it's back there. And I'm assuming they wanted that, but it doesn't make it feel any less cheap, because why would the people have known to do that? Like, that was never set up. We've never seen Darth Vader tear a ship out of the sky. It's not known to be his MO. I don't think Obi-Wan has ever seen him do that. I don't know if he has any reason to believe that Darth Vader could do that. But somehow he's like, yo, guys, we gotta send this ship out as a decoy, so that way he'll waste all of his energy grounding that one, and then we can scoot out of here and we'll be fine. It doesn't make any sense to me, but I was like, all right. It's pretty much nothing compared to the stupidity that happens next, which is the third sister tries to kill Darth Vader. Because the twist for her character is that she hasn't actually liked Darth Vader this entire time. She's actually been trying to kill him this entire time, which again, what? But anyway, all you need to know at this point is she was trying to kill Darth Vader. At the stupidest moment, I don't know what she was thinking. I know she was trying to catch him off guard by using Obi-Wan as bait, but at this point, they're fucking out of there. What makes you think that this is a good idea? Like, she hasn't been portrayed as the most intimidating person, but she's never been portrayed as stupid, and this is just fucking stupid. Of course, Darth Vader wins easily, and then we have a flashback to when she was a kid because, surprise, she was there when Anakin murdered all the kids and she didn't end up getting murdered. But this time, yeah, he runs her through with a lightsaber. Like, yeah, she dies this time. Oh, but wait, no, she doesn't. She doesn't die at all. In fact, she's still crawling around as everybody's looking at, oh wait, who's that? It's that motherfucker who died back in episode 2. I didn't even say the B in back because I'm so upset that he is here for no reason. Again, they don't even explain how this guy fucking lived. And it was kind of right there that I decided that I was checked out of the series because fake me out once, fine. Have a character do something stupid, okay. Have her face no consequences for doing the stupid thing. What are you doing? And the fourth thing is bringing a dead character or a character we thought was dead with no inclination that they could be alive back to life. Well, you just told me that consequences mean nothing and that I shouldn't care about the story that you're writing because it could just be upended at any time based on what you feel you want to write. And that made me upset. Darth Vader does end up following him, and the majority of this last episode takes place on this weird rocky planet where the final showdown between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader happens. That's very reminiscent, actually, of the last fight from Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is incidentally a better series. It's this big, very fake-looking, over-the-top, anime-style, just very overindulgent fight between the two where they're basically gods and nothing really matters. Darth Vader ends up burying him in a pile of rocks, at which point he's like, "Ha, bitch, I got the high ground now." But he thinks he's killed Obi-Wan, so he decides to leave. He decides to fuck off. He's out. He beat him. He got what he wants. But we cut in to see Obi-Wan just barely managing to keep the rocks off of him with the Force. And then, by the way, something that has been set up throughout this entire series is that he's been trying to contact Qui-Gon to get some guidance on what he's supposed to do, and you just need some help from Qui-Gon, and Qui-Gon hasn't responded. He hasn't helped him. He hasn't shown up a single time. And I don't know if that's just because Qui-Gon's a dick or because they couldn't pay for Liam Neeson to have more than a minute of screen time. But anyway, they do make the point to show him asking for Qui-Gon's help before he gets into the escape pod because he knows he's going to fight Vader after this. So at this point, I was like, oh, okay, Qui-Gon's going to help him. And wouldn't you know it, the rocks start lifting off of him. But it's not because Qui-Gon's there. No, you think he's gonna show up now? If he hasn't shown up at this point, he's fucking out, baby. No, the reason that Obi-Wan manages to get the rocks off of himself, the reason he's able to free himself from the rocks isn't because he gets some help from something that's been foreshadowed the entire series, but through the power of love and friendship giving him the will to be a fucking god at the Force. It's just, I don't know, man, it's... You couldn't write a more like generic or cliched fight between two of the most iconic characters in film, and it's just, it was honestly disappointing to watch. It really was. Obi-Wan gets all hot and bothered, you know, he comes after Anakin, beats him, they get to talking again. Vader says, "You wanna fuck?" Obi-Wan says, "Nah," and so he leaves him for dead. Oh wait, I'm sorry, I wasn't describing... Silly, I was describing the end to episode 3 of the movies. I'm so sorry. Let me go grab my notes for the show. Yeah, it is that same fucking thing again. Literally, just, I mean, it's not beat for beat, obviously, but Obi-Wan beats Anakin again and doesn't kill him again.
Why?
Now, I know some of you are probably screaming in the comments because he can't kill Darth Vader, and Darth Vader can't kill him. Neither of them can die in this fight. And yeah, of course I know that, but that doesn't defeat logic. The way this scene is written, with Obi-Wan's motivations, he thought he killed him previously, and he's seen firsthand the destruction that Anakin has caused. Why the fuck wouldn't he just do it now and ensure that this shit won't continue happening? It makes no logical sense. I understand that neither of them can actually die. I understand that, but this is not how you write a final battle scene for two characters that have to live at the end of the battle. This is not how you do it. But moving on to the third sister, who again is still alive. When she was crawling around doing something, she finds a little communicator thing that had been dropped by the fake Jedi, because it's Kumail Nanjiani. I didn't mention him in the discussion that we did, but it's Kumail Nanjiani. He was given a little like communicator thing by Obi-Wan, and he dropped it because he's clumsy. His whole thing is his character is basically just a joke, and it's kind of busted. I don't know why it's busted, but it contains a communication from Leia's father saying that he's gonna go to Tatooine and, I don't know, meet with the boy, which is Luke. But she can only hear Tatooine something, the boy. And somehow she manages to piece together that Luke is somehow important to Obi-Wan, and she goes there to kill him for some reason, where she says that she needs to get revenge or that he'll pay too or something. I don't know if she knows that it's Anakin's kid. I really don't know, but she goes in, she tries to kill him. They try to justify it when she's about to kill him by her viewing herself as a little kid, and then she starts having like problems because she's seeing herself as Anakin. She ends up not killing him, brings him back, and then after Luke is safe, you know, Obi-Wan's there, she starts crying and saying, "Oh man, am I like him? Am I like him?" And Obi-Wan's like, "No, you didn't. You chose not to. You chose not to become him. You're free. You're fine now. You can do whatever you want. Your life's whatever you want." And she throws her lightsaber away. She doesn't want to do it anymore. She just wants to live her life. And on paper, that sounds good. In action, her actions make no fucking sense, and they did not pull off what they were trying to do. You can see why I said it just doesn't feel like they got to edit the script. They didn't get to this part. They didn't get to, you know, see how it all worked or imagine how it would all work and kind of like tweak it to make it a little bit better. Because it's not that this couldn't be where her character ended up. I think it's a great ending to her character. They just failed to execute it horribly. So now that we've had time to go over the series and what happens in it, I'm going to comb back through to kind of go a little bit deeper into detail about my problems with it, why I think some of the things I thought, and hopefully give you a better idea of where I'm coming from, because I guarantee you there's more than one mean comment down there right now. So for any of you who are still around and are willing to listen, let me explain. Let's start with the third sister, since we just finished talking about her. She has been the most frustrating character to deal with throughout this entire series. She's had a very wishy-washy trajectory. You never know what she's really trying to go for, but eventually in the middle they settled for her wanting to become the Grand Inquisitor, or seemingly that's what her arc was. You know, we learn that she's working for Vader. We learn that she hates the Grand Inquisitor. She wants to usurp his authority, so she kills him in episode 2. And she actually does earn Vader's favor, I think in episode 4, when she manages to track Kenobi's ship, where he does make her the Grand Inquisitor. And I think, I'd have to go back and look, but I think she looks pretty proud of herself for that. And she's willing to do a lot for him. She always followed his orders to a T. She seemed to have like a very deep reverence for him. She literally murders children for him. She has murdered children on Darth Vader's watch. You can't then turn around and say, I just wanted to kill Vader. They did actually have an out, though, if that's what they wanted to do with the character. Again, I don't think it's necessarily bad. It's very obvious that, you know, the first thing you see in the series is the murdering of the younglings, and she's clearly one of them. You know, I knew that's what they were going to imply from the start. I knew that's who she was, but I wondered how they were going to tie it all together. And her wanting to kill Anakin because she saw him murder all of her friends and all of her family, that makes sense. But like I said, what doesn't make sense is why would she then seem to have this reverence for him and follow his orders to a T if she hated him. Why? The logical answer I could think of was because she was afraid of him and that she knew that she couldn't beat him. Not by herself anyway. I thought what she wanted to do was find Kenobi and team up with him so that way them two could take on Vader together, because together they might actually have some chance of winning. That would make sense to me, at least. That seems to be a logical thought process that she might have. It would explain a lot. It would explain why she decided to obey him, because she knew that she would have no chance of winning if she were to rebel beforehand. She knew that nobody in the Empire in their right mind would gang up on Vader with her, nor is there anybody really powerful enough for her to team up with in the Empire to go against Vader together, besides the Emperor. We all know that he has his own plans for Vader, and she really does seem to want to find Kenobi for some reason. So having her want to team up with him makes total sense. But the route they go is she wants to find him simply to use him as bait to catch Darth Vader, which she doesn't even end up doing. She attacks him after Obi-Wan leaves when he's clearly not distracted. He's got nothing on his mind. There's nothing there that's an imminent threat to him. Of course, you know, at the very least, he's gonna turn around in 1 second and see you anyway. Like, why then? You could have done that literally any other time and it would have been just as stupid. And what's worse is that they actually tease what I just suggested, them teaming up. They fucking tease that. They bring it up in the show. Obi-Wan even says, look, we'll have a better chance of taking him down together. And she's like, no, you failed. You didn't kill him once before. What makes me think that you could do that now? He beat him. He beat him. He just didn't have the heart to stab him in his whatever would have killed him. He thought he was just gonna leave him for dead burning, but that clearly didn't happen. I mean, maybe she doesn't know that, but I still think that that's a stupid reason to say, no, I'm not gonna team up with you. They just, I don't know, they didn't know really, or it doesn't seem like they knew what they wanted to do with the third sister. And the last 2 episodes in particular really show that. And it's just a shame because really, you know, we lose out as fans, but also the actress loses out because I think she did a phenomenal job in this series. She is a fantastic actor, and I wish she had a better character to play because she really does deserve better. She gave a great performance, and it's absolutely not her fault. And picking up from there, this series kind of doesn't really seem to know what it wanted to do. The middle 2 episodes told a story of Obi-Wan getting Leia back to her father and the journey that they went on to bring her there safe. I think some of the best scenes that we got that weren't like fight scenes or filled with tension were the scenes where we got to see Obi-Wan and Leia interact, which again, I don't think they could have chosen better actors for this series, honestly. Everybody was fantastic. I know I said Ewan McGregor is the best, but I don't think there's been a single bad performance this entire time. And so many kudos have to go to this girl who played Leia. She did phenomenal. Like, I was blown away. Like, I legit forgot that she's just some kid. She did such a good job portraying a young Leia. I am convinced that this is exactly what Leia was like when she was 10 years old. And I could definitely see this kid growing up to be the lady that we see in A New Hope. And so when you see those heartfelt moments and you have such good performances and good writing between these 2 characters, that's the story you become invested in. And what sucks is they abandon it. They abandon it in episode 6. We don't even see her get home safe. We only get to see Obi-Wan see her after she's already been dropped off. You know what fucking Obi-Wan does after this whole time? He entrusts her to Kumail Nanjiani's joke of a character. Again, like I said, nobody gives a bad performance. It's not Kumail's fault. He's hilarious. I love him. He does a good job in this series portraying a funny joke character, but why is he the one to see Leia go home? Why is he the one to complete the journey? He has some really cool moments himself, you know? We see him in episode 2, he's just kind of this bum, he's scamming people out of their money, and he decides to become a true hero in his own way, and he helps a moderate amount. You know, he gets them that transport, he contacts this person that he knows who's the lady from Game of Thrones who helps smuggle Jedi throughout the galaxy. And he helps buy them a couple of seconds in that second episode, putting his life on the line, which he doesn't end up dying because she says he's not worth killing, or it seems like she knows he's not worth killing. He's not really a threat to her. But still, he puts himself in a scenario where he could die, and that's admirable. He then follows through, and he still tries to help. That's totally cool. Has he earned the ability to finish the journey? The heart of this show is Obi-Wan and Leia. Why does he get to be the one to bring her back? That makes no sense. Obi-Wan should have been the one to finish that journey, and it would have been a great bookend to the series. It just feels so weird to completely abandon that storyline. Like, Leia has nothing to do in episode 5 and 6. She spends the entirety of episode 5 staring at a port full of like wires where one is loose and she can't figure out how to put it back the entire time. And then all she does in episode 6 is say, Obi-Wan, don't go! And that's about it. I love that she gets her own little ending where they kind of like bookend the scene that they showed earlier where she got an alien to stand in her place while she was getting dressed and her mom comes in expecting her not to be there, but she's ready to go. And it shows that she's grown on this journey with Obi-Wan. And it just sucks that the one piece of the puzzle is missing. All we needed was to see Obi-Wan finish the last leg of the journey, and they just saw that puzzle piece and chucked it into the ocean like it was a goddamn piece of the Millennium Puzzle. It's frustrating. And finally, we talk about the elephant in the room, which is the fight between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. It feels very fanficky, if you know what I mean. One particular point I will call out is fucking Obi-Wan raising his arms like he's a fucking god, and all these stones around him raise, and they just fucking shoom right at Darth Vader. And it goes on for a good, like, 15-20 seconds. He's just pummeling him with, like, 30-ton rocks. I'm like, Jesus, man. Holy shit. Like, I know he's trying to kill him, and I advocated for him killing him if he was gonna win, but holy shit. That was wow. Now, to contrast this extremely over-the-top fight, we do actually get one that's very well choreographed and really, really restrained, and I love it. It is a flashback to, I think, Attack of the Clones. At some point in there, they just show a single sparring match between Obi-Wan and Anakin when he was still a Padawan. And Hayden Christensen gets to try again at being Anakin, and he fucking nails it, dude. Like, that shit was awesome. Now, granted, they punched in a little too close on his face because he's like, I don't know, 40, 45 at this point. So he's showing some age in his face, so they should have, kept the lighting a little dimmer or just, like, kept the wide shots because it's hard to, in continuity wise, nobody looked like then versus now. So that was a little weird. But I'm glad that they went with a regular approach and they didn't try to CGI a young face on him. That would have been weird. So I'm glad that if we had to get one of them and if they had to have the close-up shots in there, I'm glad they didn't CGI over his face. I'm glad he got the chance to just act. And I think he knocked it out of the park 100 times better than what he did in the prequels, and I'm really glad that he got the second chance to show that what he's actually capable of doing, and it was really good. This scene was incredibly well paced, like I said, very well choreographed. It shows character, it builds tension. More importantly, I actually thought it was foreshadowing something. It's like drilled into your brain that the reason that Obi-Wan always beats Anakin, despite Anakin clearly having the advantage in power and aggression, is because he's too focused on winning the battle to realize that somebody's outsmarted him and found a way out. And Obi-Wan beats him by outsmarting him. He did not have a lightsaber at the end of that battle. He ends up doing some moves, going around Anakin, and then using the Force when he's off balance to steal his lightsaber and win. And there's nothing Anakin could do about it. And it was the perfect way to not only show who they are as characters and remind you of that, but set up that, oh, that's how this fight's gonna go. Oh, Darth Vader's gonna be so angry and he wants to kill Obi-Wan and he just wants to win, but Obi-Wan's gonna be steadfast, he's going to be calm, collected, and he's going to outsmart Vader because he hasn't grown as a person at all while Obi-Wan has. But yeah, that doesn't track. If anybody is angry, aggressive, and too focused on winning in this, it's the man who chucked 30-ton boulders at his former student for 20 seconds and then tried to slice his face open. So I don't really feel like it's fair of me to push so many criticisms onto a piece of work without offering how I would have done them differently. I've kind of been trying to explain myself and my points very well, and where I was coming from and what I would have done if I was in the writer's shoes. So here is how I would have ended this fight that I think would be better than what we got here. The first way, and the way I thought it was honestly gonna go, was, they fight, they tussle up, they hit each other. You can have Obi-Wan crack Vader's mask and show his face, and they could have that talk. But have that all happen before Vader buries Obi-Wan. Vader should overtake Obi-Wan and push him in the hole and bury him and leave. And that, just have that be that. Have Darth Vader walk off thinking he's won. Then Obi-Wan is just kind of like, he's keeping the rocks off of him, but only barely, and he's fighting for his life, and he's thinking about all the people he loves, but it's not enough. He's just not strong enough to save himself, and he's about to die. And then the rocks, they go up, and it turns out that Qui-Gon has finally fucking appeared in this hour of need to save him, and together their force powers are enough to lift the rocks and save Obi-Wan, and they have a heart-to-heart where Obi-Wan can kind of talk out his feelings and talk with his old master again. And then he goes off and saves Leia from the ship, or at least helps finish the last leg of the journey somehow. I don't have anything specific for how that would happen, and maybe that's kind of on me to figure that out, but that is how my first ending would go. The other way I would have ended it would have the battle proceeding as it did. Obi-Wan gets himself free from the rocks, and they battle some more. But instead of him overpowering Darth Vader with pure strength, rage, and anger, you have him do what's foreshadowed in the sparring flashback. Have Vader be the one to get really up in his face, really angry, and have Obi-Wan outsmart him and win. That would have, if Obi-Wan had to win, that's how you do it. You pay off what you set up. You don't just set it up and drop it. Anyway, you have Obi-Wan win by outsmarting Vader, and Vader is the one who leaves. Obi-Wan is not just, he doesn't win and then just walk away. He actually goes in for the kill on Vader, but Vader, being strong, but not strong enough to win, manages to escape just barely with his life. That way Obi-Wan doesn't look stupid. That, I think, would be a much better ending than what we got. Either of those two endings I think are good, and I'll tell you why. The first ending that I proposed is good because it gives Darth Vader a reason to stop hunting for Obi-Wan Kenobi. He thinks he's dead, and if he's not hunting for Obi-Wan, he's not gonna ever find Leia or Luke. He's just not gonna look for them because he doesn't know that they exist. If he knows that Obi-Wan is still alive and he's still very much intent on finding him, there's more of a risk that he's going to find Luke and Leia, which we know doesn't end up happening. I find it far harder to believe that he just gives up looking for Obi-Wan after this because the Emperor says so. Since when has he ever done anything like that? For Christ's sake, he disobeys him as his final act of good that he does in the series. Why the fuck would he ever just take orders from him when he's this personally invested in an outcome? It doesn't make sense to me. And the other ending I proposed is good because it provides a payoff to the setup of the flashback that I mentioned earlier. And it makes sure that Obi-Wan doesn't look like an idiot by not killing Vader for a second time. I don't know, those are my biggest gripes, and I think I've talked about most of what I disliked about the ending of this series, and there are a lot of other little things that I could talk about. This series, I think, has many flaws, but overall, I don't think those are the bigger issues that make this ending so disappointing. If those were still in there and they actually changed the bigger beats that I have problems with, I wouldn't even fucking care about them. They'd just be like, whatever, sure, every show has stuff like that. It just sucks because it felt like the writers were finding their groove with the last two episodes in the series, beyond the first two premiere episodes, and felt like we were going somewhere. And then the last two episodes just seemed like all of the overindulgent fanficky ideas that they wrote down first and never ended up connecting to the rest of the story that they had written. And again, I don't even know what really caused this issue. I don't know if they wrote these last 2 episodes first. I'm guessing they probably did, no, I'm not throwing shade over here. Like, honestly, if I got a chance to write an Obi-Wan Darth Vader meet again story, the first thing I'm writing is that they fight and Obi-Wan cracks his mask open and they talk and they have an epic battle. That's the first thing I write. But the problem is, even though that's the first thing you write, it's often not gonna be the thing that makes it into the final product, because while that's a really cool thing to imagine, it has to work in the context of a larger story. And the story that they had written from episode 2 and 4 and onwards, and I guess even what was set up with episodes 1 and 2, this isn't the ending that goes to that story, if that makes any sense. Like, I don't know if they just wrote those last 2 episodes first, wrote everything else, and then went back through and started editing things chronologically and just never made it to editing these last 2 episodes fully. Or I don't know if they thought they'd have more time or more episodes, because these episodes are only 40 minutes long and there's only 6 of them, 2 of which are setup and 2 of which are an ending, meaning you only have about 80 minutes to tell a middle part of a story. It's just, it could have been logistical problems. It could have been budgetary problems. It could have been any number of things that caused this weird disconnect and this weird, like I said, I think fumbling of the series at the end. And it's really a shame, because it does change how I look at this series in retrospect. I think I'm generally pretty good about compartmentalizing the stuff that I like. For example, the sequel trilogy, I can still watch Force Awakens and Last Jedi, because I think as 2 self-contained movies, they still tell a pretty good story. And even though I think Rise of Skywalker is bad, I can ignore that one completely and just kind of imagine that it ends with The Last Jedi, because I can just do that. But it's entirely possible that TV shows are different, and for this series, I just can't really do that. I thought about, what if I want to rewatch this, if I want to go back, and honestly, if I'm rewatching it, I'm just gonna go back and rewatch episode 3. It's the only one worth watching on its own, and it does tell at least a full, continuous, self-contained story as an episode, that I think that one particularly is worth going back and watching by itself, but I can't say that about the whole series. If I had to put a number on it, I would probably say it's a 4 out of 10, with 5 being an average show. This one, because the ending is so bad and so disjointed, I have to say that it's a little subpar and a little disappointing, to be honest. I was ready to give this show a 5 or a 6 and been like, yeah, you know what? Don't expect the world, but expect a good, decent show. And for the most part, it is. But that ending, man, you're either gonna love it or hate it. And if you hate it, it's gonna ruin the series for you, and that's really a shame. But those are just my feelings on the series. How do you feel? I'm sure most of you have already done that in the comments. You've already gone there and wrote a 5-page essay on why I'm a dumbass, and you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and read them. I'm reading everything down there, so go on and leave me a comment. Tell me what you thought of the series. Tell me what you think of my opinions. Do you think that anything I suggested here would have helped? Do you think it would have hurt? Do you think I'm wrong? What do you think? Like I said, though, if Rian Johnson makes that trilogy, I'm gonna be first. I'm gonna buy all the tickets. If I have the money, I'm renting out the theater for myself, and I won't have that money unless you donate it to me through my Patreon or through the thanks button. But I'll only do that if Rian Johnson's trilogy actually gets made. I totally don't have use for that money otherwise. What are you talking about? Bills. Ugh. Who needs to pay those? But anyway, I hope you're having a great day. I hope this video didn't bum you out too much. And I hope you actually learned something from it. If nothing else, hopefully giving you a different perspective on a thing that you like makes you appreciate it in a different way at the very least. But yeah, I hope you're doing good. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay safe. I love you, and I'll see you in the next video. All right? Bye.